Hey there, how are you today? My name is Dana Damara, and you have landed on Astrocast. This is the new moon report for the new moon in Pisces coming up on March 10th, 2024 at 2 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, those of you who are fairly new, I don't want you to go out and look for the new moon because you won't see it. We experience about 13 new moons a year, and it's when the sun and the moon are what we call conjunct each other. So if we were to look up in the sky, they're at the same degree, and so the moon is dark. So the only reason we even see the moon is because it's based upon its relationship to the sun. So when the sun and the moon are opposite, the sun is illuminating the moon, we can see it. When the sun and the moon are together in the sky, we can't see the moon. So new moons are for quiet reflection. They are for going internal. They are for setting intentions. That's just the way that it is. A couple times in my life, I have tried to hold new moon circles, and the universe has said, absolutely not. Girl, sit down. Go tend to your own new moon intention. So I'm just going to invite you, especially for this one in particular, to resist the urge to feel like you have to do something, because you don't. This new moon in particular, it's Pisces. Pisces is all about magic and mysticism and intuition and psychic knowledge and dreams. And just this one in particular is filled with magic. Okay. And I'm going to show you all of the different aspects that coincide with this new moon. But I want you to understand that this new moon is also the 5th new moon in a row at 20 degrees of its sign. So 20 is the sign of relationship, coming together, unity. 2020, perfect vision, right? So this one is a real visionary new moon. Additionally, it is the new moon preceding the full moon, lunar eclipse that we're having on the 25th, preceding the new moon solar eclipse that we're having in April. So, and it precedes Mercury retrograde. So it is the last new moon for a while where all the planets are direct. Okay, so those of you who do pay attention, you understand, like, oh boy, this is like, what do you want? What do you really desire? Not how am I going to get it, but where can I begin to dream a little bigger and allow things to come to me? Which means your heart has to be in alignment. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen because it's easier for me that way. All right, and I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see. Okay, so a couple things we have going on here. Let me just move all these other little things so that I can. Okay, so a couple little things that we, first of all, you're going to notice where all the planets are. They're all bundled up down there toward the bottom of your screen, right? So look at all those planets in Aries and Pisces. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 planets in Pisces, still North Node and Chiron in Aries, just chilling. Okay, but the planets are all super close to one another. Now I'm going to just talk a little bit about one of these. This new moon is really powerful for making your I am statements. So I talked a little bit about this past week, the theme being I am. I want you to get clear on what your I am statements are, because when we use the words I am, we are creating. And I don't mean like, how are you today? I am grateful. I mean, if there's something that you're trying to manifest into your life or figure out or draw some clarity around, now is the time to say, instead of saying, I wish I could, you say, I am. You already put yourself in that position of whatever it is that you're desiring. Right now, remember, Pluto just moved into Aquarius not long ago. With Pluto in Aquarius, this is all about liberation and freedom and really allowing yourself to see the bigger picture. So that adds to the magic. And taking creative action with this new moon is going to be really important. But, you know, when I say creative action, I don't mean to insinuate that you have to go out and do something, or that you have to know exactly how things are going to unfold. when I say creative action, I mean, what is your heart saying? You know, can you surrender and give it up to spirit, to God, to source, to the divine? Because all these planets are lined up on purpose for you to let go of the wheel, right? Let go of the wheel. Stop trying to plan everything or control it, and instead just feel your way into the Pisces is super feeling energy. So feel your way into what feels right. And remember, one step at a time. Now, Pisces is also the last sign of the zodiac wheel. Okay. So remember, Pisces wants you to clear out so that you can be ready for the next phase, right? So following that intuitive wisdom, that intuitive knowledge, and then saying to yourself, like, what really needs to go? And you know what it is. I don't need to tell you, you know what it is, but just really letting things go so that you can allow all of this new energy to come flooding, and it will, toward you. Be open to new ways of doing things, new perspectives, just be open to all of it. But you've got to know what you want. Like, you have to know what you want. Otherwise, it's just going to be kind of messy. The new moon is going to sextile Uranus. So let me show you where that is. So when we have the sun and the moon here at 20 degrees, and then Uranus is here. Uranus is super slow planet. When the sun and the moon sextile Uranus, what happens is it really allows for us to be open to what's next, be open to letting go of any attachment that we have. Uranus is liberation. Uranus is higher knowledge. Uranus is, you know, the bigger picture. It's those also, Uranus are those inspiring thoughts that just come through out of nowhere. And you're like, oh my gosh, where did that thought come from? Right. And when the new moon sextiles Uranus, it wants you to literally say out loud, okay, here's my I am statements. Here it is. I visualized it. I felt it in my heart. Now I'm going to just trust that this is going to work out better than I can ever imagine. That's surrender. This will work out better than I can imagine. So if I were you, I would just write that down. I mean, I wrote it down for myself, right? This will work out better than I can imagine. This is your mantra. This is what's going to help you move through any fear, any kind of clinging, any kind of attachment that you have. And Mars is also squaring Uranus. Okay, so when Mars squares Uranus, so I'll show you where Mars is. Mars is right here. And so Mars is squaring Uranus. Mars is in Aquarius. Mars is kind of pushy. Mars is like the initiator. Like, Mars wants you to just go, even if you're not ready. Mars can be a little assertive and aggressive, but Mars also asks you to be courageous. And so, you know, this is really about following your creative instincts, right? And really broadening your perspective and your inspiration about what you really want. So consciously manifesting through your I am vision what it is that you desire. So you have to know what you want. You have to know what you want to create. You have to know what is in alignment with you. And you have to see which path feels easeful and which path doesn't. That's really, yeah, I mean, it sounds so simple, and yet we do make it pretty challenging. Now, Mercury is going to sextile Pluto. Mercury is the planet of communication, and Pluto is depth. So Mercury sextiling Pluto wants you to go deep and really listen to the words that you're using. And remember that your words, you know, when we were younger, we may have said sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, that's really not true, because words hold a lot of impact. And so I want you to be aware of your words, because your words are creating everything in front of you. Okay. And then Jupiter sextiles Saturn. So Jupiter's expansion, I'll show you where that is here. Let me show you. So here's Jupiter. And then Saturn is here. Now, Saturn is close to the sun, but not, you know, it's 9 degrees away. That's why I'm not talking about it. But Saturn is absolutely sextile to Jupiter within 2 degrees. So if you've got Jupiter sextiling Saturn, Jupiter's expansion, Saturn is responsibilities, it's structure, it's one step at a time, it's what's your plan. So, you know, this is a great time to, again, trust that whatever's falling away is supposed to fall away, and that there is this tremendous amount of expansion coming to you. You have to trust though. And some of this is going to happen in career, but some of it could happen in relationships. I think that if you just have a little bit of self-awareness around what it is that you want and what's going on in your life and what is out of alignment, it's going to be easy for you. You're going to be like, okay, I need to get out of these constricting situations, and I want to expand into greater freedom and prosperity. You're going to know what it is. But this new moon is really about moving out of the old perceptions and maybe standing in that limbo for a moment just to feel where the expansion is happening for you. This is a massive growth period, you guys, which means there is upheaval, there's things dropping away. You know, it's happening in the world if you haven't noticed. So if it's happening in the world, it's happening for you somewhere too. Now, the last thing I want to say is that Neptune is conjunct this new moon, and I saved the best for last. So here's Neptune. It's within 7 degrees. It's not a full conjunction, you know, but it is enough to warrant you know, this acknowledgement. And so Neptune is the planet of dreams and hopes and bigger visions and, you know, deeper intentions. And, you know, again, this is where that whole, this is going to work out better than I can imagine comes from. So I would say with this new moon, really, you know, sit with yourself and say, where do I see myself 6 months from now, or even 12 months from now? And don't just write it down and have it come from the head. Right. You can write it down. I'm a big journaler. I have like multiple color pens, and I love like writing things out and even drawing things, you know. So, but you tap into that creative side and then, you know, feel what it would feel like to be in that, like insert yourself into that space. And focus on the ease, right? Let your imagination run wild. Focus on the ease. Focus on like, what is it that I really want? And I'm going to imagine myself there. I'm going to sit with myself there. Right. So I think the big thing here to remember is that we have more power in our little pinky finger than we know what to do with. And sometimes we forget and we get bogged down into the mundane, right? And I think right now is a really good time to kind of zoom out. You know, I mean, yesterday I was sitting at a friend's house in Tiburon, and we are sitting looking at Belvedere, and then we could see the Golden Gate Bridge off in the distance. And all I could think about was, holy crap, we are so small. I'm picturing like, oh my gosh, look at, there's probably so many cars on that bridge, and we are so zoomed out that sometimes when we're on the bridge, we're like in the thing, we're in our heads. Zoom out and remember that in this little pinky finger and this little heart and this little third eye and all of your voice, your dreams, it's all real. And so ask yourself, what do you want? And then speak as if it's already happening. It's the best thing I can say with this new moon. And feel free to reach out to me if you want your chart read, because it's always nice to know kind of how you line up with what's happening. You know, some new moons or full moons, well, every day, but let's just use that as an example. Sometimes we really feel a new moon. Wow, this is really intense. Or wow, I really feel like I'm being offered something with this energy. And then other times it blows by and we don't even know, right? Well, that's because our chart, our birth chart, lines up with what's happening in the sky differently than everyone else. So If you want your chart read, please reach out to me. I'm happy to do it. I share this information with people from all over the world, really, because good old Zoom. And if you don't want your chart read, that's fine. Take this information for yourself and just kind of hold it in your heart and, cherry pick what works and let go of what doesn't. I hope this helped you in some way, shape, or form. I'm super honored to be able to just kind of bring this all together, and I hope to see you soon. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.